The UK Government's decision to leave the EU has put in place a range of barriers to international activity in one of our most important international markets. Creative professionals now often require costly visas or work permits to carry out activities such as touring in the EU and face extensive customs requirements for moving equipment and merchandise. The failure of the UK Government to negotiate favourable agreements for creative professionals with the EU means that extensive barriers to international activity remain. A key area of action for this strategy will be efforts to mitigate the barriers to international mobility that have been put in place by Brexit, including working to push the UK Government and EU to support visa-free arrangements for touring artists and working with the sector to explore new ways to support international mobility.
We need to make it easier for our creators and performers, especially for our musicians, to tour. Touring is vital for many performers to make income and reaching new audiences, but this has made it much more difficult because of Brexit. There are events being held today by the Face the Music campaign on this very issue. And the Musicians' Union have said that national performing companies have already been cutting back touring within Scotland. Labour would push for a visa waiver for touring artists, and we would negotiate an EU-wide cultural touring agreement, including allowances for cabotage, carnet and custom rules.
And I recognise the impact of Brexit on the culture sector in the campaign we've heard about just now in terms of the Face the Music campaign. Brexit has made a lot of travelling artists leaving Scotland and going onto the continent and vice versa almost intolerable, and is yet another hallmark of the hideous calamity of that enterprise. I will.
Cabinet Secretary.
Does he agree with me, because I think we do on the issue of Erasmus Plus, just like Horizon Europe, being organisations that the United Kingdom could rejoin. Does he agree with me that Creative Europe would be a tremendous organisation for the UK to rejoin? Is his party committed to doing so? I know we didn't have any clarification from the Labour Party on that simple and straightforward question.
Alex Cole-Hamilton.
I'm very happy to say that we are. I mean, the Liberal Democrats are fundamentally committed to rebuilding our fractured relationship with Europe.
As has been mentioned, the European movement in Scotland launches the Face the Music campaign today. They'll be marching down the Royal Mile today and gather outside this Parliament very shortly. This is about the impact of Brexit on our musicians and the problems they have in touring and going to Europe. They've launched a petition with more than 24,000 signatures that says music is a central part of cultural identity, it champions diversity and supports our local communities. We must act now.
We cannot get away from the Brexit question, no matter how much people want to avoid it. And I would stress the urgency and importance of rejoining the EU is fundamental for this sector. No sector has been more damaged by Brexit than the cultural sector, and so much so it's already been mentioned today. Myself, in conjunction with the European Movement in Scotland, have arranged a Bus Against Brexit Day today. I'm also hosting a round table tonight with prominent individuals in the music sector to hear in more detail about their challenges and their ideas to make matters better. And such is the concern, I anticipate it will be well attended. The fact that the UK Government refused concessions by the EU and the fact that the Labour Party continue to support Brexit is noted. Let me just briefly examine some of the issues. Now, it's been mentioned already, but touring for many musicians is an imperative. They're first and foremost performers, and taking their product to other locations and cultures is emotionally fulfilling and builds their audience and brand. Yet the additional costs, paperwork, red tape, such as carnets for each country now act as a real blocker. And I've met with bands and larger organisations who are either cutting their touring or stopping altogether. Issues are multiple, not just with musicians touring, but also trying to welcome them here due to immigration being reserved. How many examples can we cite of musicians having their visas declined and outcry ensuing before a change of heart? This damages the profession, it damages our international brand.